Today, I'm going to take you through our ID audit. As a busy executive, you need data-driven systems, because if you were to audit or have your business audited, what are we looking for? We're looking for weaknesses, inefficiencies, but ultimately we're looking to feel confident about the forecast. So if you were the CEO of your body and your body was your business, how confident would you feel about the future and about its performance? That's what we're going to get to today. I'm going to show you the whole system. Now, just a little bit about myself quickly. I used to be the CEO of a AI company, which has since been acquired. And then I became a PT, which is what I am now. So I've seen firsthand the stress that it can put on you running a business, being at C-level, C-suite level, knowing the deadlines, knowing about investors and trying to run teams, hire people. There's a lot, right? So as executives, the one thing we treasure is speed. That is speed and accuracy. We need that in order to get results. So this is the purpose of this audit. Now, when you think about an executive, let me take a little sip of water. With salt in, I'll get to that in a moment. When you think about an executive, what are the words that come to mind? Now, I have a new tablet with a new stylus, so you have to bear with me with handwriting, but I'll do my best. So we think about being burnt out. That's a word we hear a lot, or two words we hear a lot. The next thing is time poor. I mean, hopefully you're time poor because we're busy and therefore we're productive. But the last thing is we think about the sacrifice. So we think that you can't be successful and healthy at the same time. You have to give one up. So unhealthy. Now with these descriptions, we start to identify as this type of person. Okay, I have to be like this because I have to make the sacrifice. There's no other option. And when we start to think like that, it becomes a cycle. So the first thing we need to do is audit our identity, how we see ourselves. So let's move down a little bit here. Okay, excellent. Now, I'll give you an example, okay? Let me show you. Where's Tom? So this is a little example of what we do and how we get results. Where's Tom? See what? Let me put the headphones on so you can hear from the horse's mouth. Sorry, Tom, I'm not calling you a horse.
Give my feedback on Kevin and the Lean in 8 course. I suppose I'm someone that had been there, bought the t-shirt, read the book, tried different apps, and nothing really worked long term. So over the 8 weeks, he just gave me ways to make the right option at meal times or even dessert times. His first video was 20 seconds long. It had 2 ingredients. It was very healthy. And now that's my go-to meal. He's very passionate about...
Right, we'll stop that there. Okay. The key takeaway there are 20 seconds to make his favorite meal, breakfast in the morning. When you're in a hurry, you rush, you got to get out the door. 2 ingredients only, so keeping it fast and simple. And finally, nutritious. A simple system like that will revolutionize your breakfast, and how we start the day is often how the day is determined. So let's go back to the whiteboard. In order for this to happen, we need to establish our identity, which then leads to our habits. And this works as a loop. So let me show you here. Right, ID. Instead of saying, I need to lose weight, or I want to look a certain way, instead say, I am a healthy person. I am a high-performing executive, someone who has to look after themselves so I can look after my company, my dependents. And that starts a loop. by the way, this comes from James Clear from Atomic Habits, full disclosure. And in Atomic Habits, I have the quote here actually. James says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So when you wake up in the morning, you say, I am a healthy person. To yourself in the mirror, naked. No, not really. But to the mirror, in the mirror is good. And therefore, I take this action. Right? So that's the next stage, is action. What does a healthy person do? A healthy person doesn't have coffee on an empty stomach, although I love that myself, and just run adrenaline all day and cortisol. They have a simple system they can follow, which is going to nourish them and give them the energy they need for the rest of the day. You can still have your coffee, but you need grub as well. That action then leads to evidence. So this evidence is, I've proved to myself that I'm a healthy person. I know, because I'm taking these actions, I did it yesterday, the day before, that this is who I am now. It's my new identity. And that creates, the final step, reinforcement. Enforce. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry, 1 second. Reinforcement. Teething problems with tech always. Reinforcement is so important because then your identity strengthens. It's not a chore anymore. It's the new you. And it's not that you're changing your identity. It's that you're expanding it. So you're still the executive. You're still the high performer. But now you're the one that also looks after themselves. And that compounding effect, which I'm going to go into now. So let's move this up. Again, this is from James Clear, from James Clear Atomic Habits. This is called the 1% effect. Where's my cursor here? 1%. And it's compounding. I think I'm going to get a little what do you call it? Like a stand for this tablet because I keep mashing the keys. Right, so a compounding effect. And maybe you're familiar with this, but we want small changes every day. We don't want to overhaul the whole system because that is not sustainable. And then if we fail quickly, we can get discouraged and we think, this is not for me. I'm not really a healthy person. This was just a bit of a fad for January, and I'm going to go back to my old ways, which aren't serving us. So let's draw this out as a graph. Oops. All right. And on this graph, we have a constant timeline. Now, this is an illusion. We think if I just stay the same, everything will stay the same. But it doesn't. Father Time is against us. And unfortunately, we are slowly crumbling. Our testosterone goes down. That's just how it is. And we lose muscle mass, bone density, tissues, ligaments, tendons, if they don't get strengthened. So essentially, this concept of it being a constant is an illusion. So the decline is actually, let's do it. Should we do a different color? Let's do it in red because red is a threat, isn't it? All right, so I'll try and draw a line here. Right, so that's our slow decline until death. And what happens here, by the way, is you might notice older lads, older men, they tend to shuffle around the place. And that's because they haven't kept training. They don't lunge, they don't squat, they don't do any form of running or sprinting. Because we think, I've become too busy with work, maybe family. And therefore, when we take shorter strides, our gait gets smaller, we're more susceptible to falls. And once you fall, break a hip, break a knee, it's not pretty after that. So the last 10 years of our life are not great. But the great thing about the world we live in now, I mean, technology can be a blessing and a curse, but is that the blessing is we never have to retire if we don't want to. because unlike our dads, who are manual workers often, we're relying on our brain. But we do need our body to work, because whatever we do physically affects us mentally and emotionally. All right, now, if we decide to adopt the 1% compounding effect, the little change over time, like the 20-second breakfast, what happens is it becomes exponentially good. So what color is this now? Oh, it's a rainbow color. My kids would like that. Let's go green. Not ready for rainbow just yet. Okay. Right. So it's not linear. And this means that these small changes over time, before you know it, and it doesn't take long, you've established a new routine. And you'll find that you actually don't notice it. It'll be people, your colleagues, maybe the missus or your friends, who will say to you, "You're looking good. You seem a lot sharper. You're looking younger." It even affects your face. I mean, look at this photograph. Can I get it back up here? Of me. Where is it now? One sec. Hold on, Tom. Let me go back. I need to show you this photograph again for 1 second. Because we all often think about, oh yeah, the six-pack and stuff. But look at my face in this picture. All right? Look at that mush. I'm all bloated. It's all rounded. You can see there, like around my chin, my jaw, and this is what this is about 15 years in the difference. Okay, it's a huge difference. So it's not just our body that changes; it's our face, it's our mind, it's how we see ourselves, which is most important. Now let's get out of this. Okay, move this up. I get in there. Okay, so tiny wins equal massive results over time. But in order to do this, we need the right environment. And this is environment. Let me write this down in black. Environment is more important than willpower. Motivation is a myth. If motivation was an employee, you'd sack him because he's not reliable. And what we need instead is systems that we know are going to work. So the first one is, for this, we've got enough room here. Let me underline. Let's see what, I'm even going to highlight this. Now, the first one is, no, highlight. There we go. Designing our space. So make healthy choices obvious. Now, this could be at home if you work from home, or it could be in the office. For example, when we have lunchtime or our coffee break, what do we have around us? Often when we're busy, we eat in the office, and therefore we're going to snack on things that aren't great for us, aren't going to give us energy that we need. So the first thing to do is don't buy that stuff for the house. Now, if you've got kids, maybe the kids want that stuff, but put that in a separate cupboard, right? Even ask your missus to hide it away from you if needs be. But if the food is not there, then you won't be able to take it. Okay, so you've put, and what you've done here is you've put friction between you and the bad habit. If it means you have to drive to the shop and it's late night, particularly when you get home from a long day, and you know you need to drive to get that snack, the fact you got to get in the car, go outside, adds barriers, which is what we need, right? And the third and final thing, is you're in social. So it's not just where you are, it's who you're with. So this might mean that you you need to surround yourself with people who have the same desires as you in terms of their identity. This might be networking groups. It might be a run club, especially for executives. But it needs to be people that are aligned with your core values. Because you'll notice as you ascend in your career, it can get quite lonely. There's the less and less people that are in your shoes. And therefore, no man is an island. We need support, right? So this is critical to remember. Environment is far more important than your willpower. Well, what's next? Got a couple of notes here. Yes, okay. So this is the audit part now. So now that we know our identity, we know that identity is pivotal for habits. What are those habits? So first, let's look at training. Now, with training, I don't just mean lifting weights, because although cardio is not the most efficient way for losing fat, cardio, intense cardio that is, in intervals, is really important for heart health. Because as middle-aged men, which I am, the most common cause of death is heart attack. And therefore, we need to strengthen the most important muscle in our body, which is our heart. So training is weights. And when I say weights, I mean resistance. So it could be a dumbbell, kettlebell. It could be a cable machine, which I have here. Well, you can't see it, but it's behind me. And something that body weight is not enough. Okay, that's a marketing ploy to, like, Jane Fonda, Joe Wicks. They're trying to get as many people onto their program as possible. And yes, there are people that get results, but if you're coaching millions of people, you're going to have a handful that are going to get results, aren't you? So we need weights, we need resistance, plus cardio. But not long, boring cardio. Okay, this is number one. Oh, we don't need to number it, do we? Let's go to the next one. So training, and next one is food. Just a short word for nutrition. So with food, counting calories does work to a point because it is important to be data-driven, but we do it at the start just so that we know we're aware of what we're consuming. And then eventually, you want to get to a point where, so calories in, calories out, CICO, that's the abbreviation, is a thing. It is a fact, but it's not that reliable because on food labels, there is inaccuracies. It's around the FDA, which is based in the States, say it's around 30% inaccuracies in terms of how many calories it said on the food label to really what there are. So we want to go from calories in, calories out to IE, which is intuitive eating. Simple systems where you can look at a plate of food, you're out at a meeting or you're out at a networking event, and you can see, okay, I have an idea what would make a good plate of food for me. And this works by portions, so proportions, sorry. So we want a third of the plate to be protein, a third of the plate to be carbohydrates, ideally vegetables, and then a third of it to be good, healthy fats. That's the general rule of thumb. Then you have sleep. Now with sleep, there is ways to measure that are so easy. I mean, you don't need an Oura Ring, or you don't need an Apple Watch or a Whoop. I think they're great. I love stuff like that. But if it means it's a barrier, it creates friction to you getting started, you want to remove that. And you can download free apps on your phone that will tell you how much you're sleeping. And not only how much, so you want to know time, right? But I think more important than that is quality. Now, time and quality, they are linked, but everyone is different. I mean, for example, if you're a type A personality, you don't need 8 or 9 hours sleep. That would probably be too much for you. But it's better to have 6 quality hours. And the only way to really know if that's quality, one way is depending on how you feel. Eventually, you will intuitively know that. But it's to see what the stats are saying. And the final thing is mindset. This is what we're talking about today. ID. What are we consuming? Not just food, right? What media are we consuming? Are we listening to constant news feed? Are we looking at Instagram models? Are we... Yes, entertainment is good. In fact, following your favorite sports team is good for testosterone if they're winning. So, but what you put in your head is so important. And again, sometimes when we're at a level of our career where we feel a bit lonely, we can get easily distracted. You know, it is nice to watch things that are funny and we need that comic relief, but it's so important to realize what got you to this point is going to keep you going. You know, filling your head with, if it's like inspirational quotes, these things can go a long way. So yeah, stay off TikTok. That's in a nutshell. So let's move on. Okay, we have just 2 more sections. Now, yes, getting the hang of this. Yeah, I got a new tablet because I thought I've got to up my game when it comes to presentation skills. So here's what you need to ask yourself. All right, I talked about quantitative data. So you need to understand, okay, how many hours am I sleeping? What portions I'm eating of my food? How much am I training? And that's the numbers that we need to know. The really essentials, and things like how many steps you're taking as well is really important per day, right? But the qualitative is that some people think this is a bit more woo-woo, but we need both quantitative and qualitative data. So qualitative. Yeah, where's ChatGPT when you need it? All right, so qualitative data. And this can make people feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's important when you're auditing yourself to ask yourself, how would you describe yourself right now? It's open for interpretation. But my handwriting's so bad. Hey, we'll get there. You know, I used to go out for a girl that worked for Facebook, and one quote they have in Facebook is, done is better than finished. Perfection is a myth, and it slows us down. So this isn't perfect, but it's enough. It's good enough. How would you describe ourselves right now? The brilliant thing about this is, because it's left open for interpretation, what you'll find is when you answer this question, you will learn a lot more about yourself just by answering it than the person you're telling it to. Okay, next question. How would your wife / partner describe you? Yeah, I mean, this is one where the main thing I see from this is the pride that a lot of men feel. They want to always feel like the earner, the protector, if you will. I mean, protecting yourself from being poor. And whereas the wife or the partner will often value different traits. And often when you start a program that involves looking after your health, some partners and wives will think it's a vanity thing. To get a 6-pack in 6 weeks. Well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in getting the fake tan, doing the photo shoot. I think it's cringe. I think getting fit for holiday is pathetic. I think that if that's the end goal, I think as a short-term goal, fair enough. Okay, that gets you going, but this should be more about I want to perform as best as possible, both in the boardroom and the bedroom. Sorry, I went there, but yeah, okay. And the last one is what do you believe? What do you believe? Oh God. About your body. Because I work in the mainly island England market, and Irish English men tend to be a little bit more prudish, a bit more reserved than other countries. So they don't really go in for flexing in the mirror all the time and flaunting themselves. But at the same time, our body is like our business card. It tells us a lot about ourselves. It's first impressions last. So when someone sees you and they see that you have the discipline, not the motivation, the discipline to look after yourself, that your suit fits well, that you're sharp, your hair's cut well, all these little things, and you speak well, of course, are embedded into someone's memory when they meet you. And that's just unavoidable. There's nothing you can do. So, what's the last thing to say? Okay. Last thing to say is we're not anymore. So this is the, we're going to say the old. Oops. Instead of saying, let's move this to the side. Instead of saying, I want to lose weight, I want to look like so-and-so, we're going to say, I am. I am a healthy person. I am the kind of guy who takes care of himself. I am the kind of guy who wakes up in the morning, has a proper breakfast, or goes to the gym because I know it's hassle, it's slightly inconvenient, but it's what I do because I am a healthy person. I am a high performer. And what we're not going to do is we are not going to consume we are going to create. Oh, you swine. Create. We are going to create. So instead of consuming news all the time, media, nonsense, we're going to create new habits. Instead of looking at rubbish, we're going to be listening to not motivational stuff, inspirational stuff. Well, you know what? You can listen to motivational stuff if it gets you going, but realize that it's just temporary. It's a bit like drinking your coffee. It will get you going, but we don't want to be drinking it 24/7. Otherwise, we're going to crash. And then the last thing is we're not. Let me move this up a little bit. The last thing is we're not spoofing. In other words, we're not making up as we go along. We're tracking. Because what gets measured gets managed. And when you track your habits, you can look back, you have the data, You're like, I know last week was a great week. I know I can celebrate the evidence that reinforces who I'm becoming. And that goes all the way back to, if I can find it here, that loop. That loop. ID, action, evidence, and reinforcement. But it all starts with how we see ourselves. So, if you found that useful, I'll put another video. Let's go to the big screen. If you found it useful, I'll put another video up here that will builds upon this, so that you know, okay, I have a starting point and I have the next steps. Hope that's helpful, and I'm out. Have a powerful one.